them all what I'm made up. Strut down the hall, won't stop till I get enough.
Okay, let's unpack this. Have you caught wind of these, well, pretty surprising claims coming out of Chinese TikTok?
Oh, yeah. About the luxury brands. This is making some waves.
Totally. We're talking about allegations that, some of the biggest names, fashion, sportswear, the really high-end stuff.
Might actually be using manufacturers in China quite heavily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which kind of challenges that whole image of exclusive European craftsmanship, right?
It really does. That narrative is so carefully built. So these TikTok claims suggest, well, maybe a much bigger reliance on Chinese production than anyone was admitting.
Right. So for this deep dive, we've been looking at some interesting material, mostly excerpts from a Vibe article. It's called Chinese TikTok Users Allegedly Expose Luxury Brands Manufacturers.
Okay.
And our mission today really is to figure out what's being claimed, how people are reacting, and, what this all might mean for how we see the luxury market.
Makes sense. So let's get right into it. According to that Vibe piece, what are these Chinese manufacturers actually alleging?
Well, the core claim is pretty bold. They're basically saying, look, those super expensive items you're buying, we're the ones making them, and the cost to produce them, way lower than you think.
So the implication is that brands are using Chinese manufacturing for cost savings, but keeping the high prices based on, branding and origin stories.
Pretty much. Leveraging the manufacturing power, but maintaining that premium image.
And there was that statistic mentioned, wasn't there? Something about bags.
Yeah, that was striking. The article mentions a claim that over 80% of luxury bags are actually made in China.
Wow.
Even if they have a made in France or made in Italy label, that's a huge disconnect.
Huge. And it wasn't just bags, right? The article named specific brands.
It did. The Vibe piece specifically flags Hermes, Lululemon, and Nike.
Okay, so we're talking top-tier fashion, high-end athleisure, major sportswear. It's broad.
A really wide range. And the fact this is all playing out on TikTok is interesting in itself.
Yeah, it shows how fast this stuff can spread now, how platforms like that can, challenge the official story.
Definitely. It's not just about where things are made either, is it? It's also about where the value is added.
Right. What was the angle there?
There's this other claim floating around that China is sort of showing off U.S. brands on TikTok by saying, again, that over 80% of these really pricey items are made there, but maybe just get packaged somewhere else, like the U.S.
Ah, okay. So suggesting the real work, the skilled manufacturing, is happening in China.
That seems to be the underlying point, yeah.
And this isn't happening in a vacuum, is it? There's a whole backdrop with trade stuff.
Absolutely. The Vibe article connects it directly to the U.S.-China trade situation.
The tariffs.
Exactly. You had Trump raising tariffs on China, then Xi Jinping hitting back with reciprocal ones.
Right.
And that tension seems to have created an environment where these kinds of claims might surface more easily, maybe as a way to, highlight China's role.
So it's possibly partly a reaction to the trade war. A way for Chinese manufacturers or commentators to say, hey, you rely on us, and maybe question the premium prices.
Could be. It adds that whole geopolitical layer to the made-in label. It's not just about heritage, maybe, but also about global economics and politics.
Which is fascinating. But obviously not everyone's just accepting these TikTok videos at face value.
Yeah.
There's got to be skepticism.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the whole luxury world is built on exclusivity, quality, origin.
So how have people pushed back? What are the counterarguments?
Well, the article mentions fashion historian Cora Harrington. She made a really good point on Twitter.
What was that?
Basically, that most ordinary people, you and me, would have a really hard time telling a genuine luxury item from a, really good fake, a super fake.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So her point is, these videos, they could easily be showing factories making counterfeits, not the real deal for Hermes or Nike.
That's a really important counterpoint. Short videos can be misleading, pull things out of context.
Exactly. You don't know what you're really seeing.
And then there was that incident with an Instagram account being suspended after a complaint from Hermes.
Yeah, that added another layer of confusion, didn't it?
Because you could read it different ways.
Yeah.
Was Hermes just protecting its trademark, which is fair?
Or were they trying to, shut down, talk about where their stuff is made?
Or the third option was the account genuinely promoting counterfeits, and Hermes was acting against that.
Right. It's murky. Hard to know the real motivation just from the suspension itself.
But we do have an official word from Hermes, don't we? Newsweek reported their statement.
We do, and it's crucial to hear their side directly. What did they say?
Well, According to the Vibe article, sourcing Newsweek, Hermès was very clear. They said their bags are, quote, crafted exclusively in our ateliers in France by highly trained artisans.
Exclusively in France.
Yeah, and they flat out denied outsourcing leather goods production to China or anywhere else, called the claims categorically false and possibly counterfeit misinformation.
Wow. Okay, so that's a very firm, direct denial. No wiggle room there.
None at all. Directly contradicts the TikTok stuff, at least regarding their brand.
Which definitely puts a question mark over the accuracy of those specific claims about Hermès.
But the Vibe piece also mentioned Bloomberg reporting on similar things happening with Lululemon and Nike, manufacturers allegedly exposing practices.
Yeah, and apparently even offering people a chance to buy items directly from these supposed source factories at much lower prices.
So that adds the element of maybe cutting out the middleman, bypassing the brand entirely.
Exactly. So look, whether these claims are 100% true across the board and we have denials like the one from Hermès, the whole situation, it definitely raises bigger questions, doesn't it, about the luxury market overall?
Absolutely. Even if that 80% figure isn't accurate, the fact that it's being discussed so publicly, it forces us to think about transparency.
Or the lack of it, maybe.
Potentially. And about pricing. What are we actually paying for when we buy luxury?
Right. How much is the design, the materials, the brand name, the story versus the actual place it was put together? Is the location less important to the price than we assume?
And what does this do to consumer trust? If you start thinking your expensive bag might have come from the same place as a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, that could really damage the brand's appeal, that whole aspirational quality they work so hard to build.
It kind of hints at maybe more accessibility, too. Like the Vibe article suggested, maybe people see this and start trying to find those direct manufacturer links online.
Trying to get similar goods for way less.
Which then circles back to this basic question. What even is luxury today in this globalized world? If manufacturing is spread out, what makes something truly luxury and worth that high price?
So just to kind of wrap up where we landed, we've got these TikTok claims, potentially widespread Chinese manufacturing for big luxury names like Hermès, Lululemon, Nike.
Emerging alongside U.S.-China trade friction.
Right. But then their skepticism are these videos showing real production or fakes, and we have strong denials, like from Hermès insisting on exclusive French production.
Yeah. And regardless of who's politically right or wrong in these specific cases, the whole conversation really shines a light on bigger things.
Like transparency in the luxury world. What goes into those price tags?
And just the sheer power of social media now to shape or maybe disrupt how we see these established brands.
Exactly. Which brings us to the final thought, really, for everyone listening, thinking about all this. What does luxury actually mean to you now? Is it about where it's made?
Is it the brand name itself, the craftsmanship, no matter the location?
Or is it just, more complicated than that in today's world?
Yeah. This deep dive, it feels like it's just scratching the surface of a much larger conversation.
Totally. About global supply chains, brand perception, and, well, the information we find online, sometimes when we least expect it.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're bubbly.